Hi, everybody. I hope that you guys are having an amazing start of 2022 and February is going very well. So today I have the pleasure to have with me Mikayla. Hi, Mikayla.
Hello, everyone.
Ciao, bellissima. How are you?
¿Cómo están a todos?
So, Mikayla, would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
My name is Mikayla, depending on what country we name myself. And I'm a functional nutritionist, registered dietitian when I'm in the US, and certified shamanic energy medicine practitioner. So when I work with people, I work on the root. I always try to work more to find out what is causing what is, rather than just applying a plaster, so to speak, a band-aid in the US, but here is a plaster.
Yes.
So this is my approach.
Lovely. Yeah, same that we do, and I do in biodecoding and shadow work. So it's great because we are just practicing different things, but the point is the same, to get to the root of the issue. So this is why we are sharing today this episode, because we are going to give both perspectives in order to help people to deal with this topic, cholesterol. Because, you know, guys, sometimes one therapy is working for you, other times is another therapy, or the same therapy that is working for someone is not working for the other one. So we just think that sharing more perspectives about the subject is going to help more people, or wherever you are in your path just now. So,
Absolutely.
So how are we going to start, Nikki?
We're going to start to say that, just like you've rightfully announced, it's good to offer people lots of options and not just one, because like many other ailments, high cholesterol can be approached by many, many ways, because it's not a one-way street. When we have high cholesterol, it's not necessarily just diet.
Absolutely.
It's many areas that can cause it. And the stress level that we're having, what are we going through in our life, our family history. But I'm not just talking about family history of this life. I'm also talking about past life history. And what do we carry energetically to this life? All of these things can tackle our health, and specifically our cholesterol. So working unilaterally on just one aspect is not necessarily conducive 100% of the times, because the causes leading to an unhealthy level of cholesterol are not necessarily just diet in most of the cases.
Definitely, I agree with you. And thanks for mentioning that, because cholesterol is not a bad thing. This is actually something that we need in our body. So in this episode, we are talking about when cholesterol is unhealthy, okay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Usually, as a nutritionist, as a functional practitioner, I just start with what I call a whole platform, a pyramid, where I look at the whole story of the person. What is their lifestyle like? What do they do for a living? Do they have family support? What is their diet? What is their lifestyle? What is their environment? Are there pollutants? Do they have work? Do they have stress at work? Do they have stress in the family? And then from an energetical point, I look at, in sacred space, I look at, is there family history from a past life that brings in energy that is intense?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that brings on that? And usually it's been my experience that regardless of what I see in their blood panel, if I find that there's an intense fight or flight status, you betcha that the stress is high. And you know, for you and I, this is obvious because this is what we study. But for the common person, fight or flight is what the tiger goes through when it attacks another animal.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's also what we go through when we are stressed out because we feel and perceive ourselves in danger. So what we do is we start exhaling more stress, which is basically a composition of adrenaline. And from that adrenaline, we end up producing cortisol, which ends up producing more sugar, more fat, and we end up staying in this quote, quote, fight or flight. And we don't really resolve it like the tiger used to do, or when the frontier man used to resolve it, because the frontier man and the tiger had an actual fight to do.
Yes.
We don't have an actual fight. We have a spiritual, a mental fight. So our body doesn't recognize the difference and leaves us in this state that is the one that is so unhealthy in the end.
Yeah.
Nutritionally, it's a mix of many situations, but people seem to always believe that it's an unhealthy diet, including high fats and saturated fats, but it's not quite the fat that causes cholesterol to go up, turns out. And it's a whole series of exams that a functional doctor has to do to see if in fact it is an unhealthy cholesterol. So by looking at the oxidation, the CRP, I don't need to get technical, but basically there's a whole list of labs that need to differentiate on whether that cholesterol is not favorable for the person or not. But I can guarantee you that that person, 90% of the time, is carrying some kind of fight or flight stress. Yeah. Even the person with the very minimal situation presented by that blood level not to be desirable has a high stress. It's been my experience. It's been anecdotal. Yeah. But it's been always like that.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense because from a biodecoding perspective, which is what I practice, people who have high levels of cholesterol actually feel that they can't count on anyone else. So if you look at the functions of cholesterol, one of them is actually to build up plaques and to repair, okay? So when they are within a family, they don't feel that they have this capacity to count on the other members of the family. So in a way, it's like they can't build themselves. So they can count on the other members of the family, so they can only count on themselves. So this is one of the things. And so this is why I found that interesting. And what about from the shamanic perspective?
From the shamanic perspective, it's pretty similar. I always find a fight or flight situation. And within this fight or flight situation, it depends on what has been the cause. But whatever causes fight or flight is a situation of fear, is a situation of anxiety, a situation of escape from danger. So people don't just get to that by going to the butcher, basically. They get to that when there's a serious condition in their life that is really posing fear, effects, and stress and malaise. And so when they get to that, usually this is prolonged for a certain period of time, and maybe there's a little bit of shoveling it away to not deal with it and not really facing it directly. And this is how it amplifies more, because as we know, energy doesn't just goes away. What we feel, what we manifest, and what we experience just doesn't disappear. It transforms itself. So if we don't face it directly, it will transform and go elsewhere and somatize somewhere else in our body. It starts as stress, but it ends up elsewhere. So shamanically speaking, it's always some kind of stress, some kind of fight or flight that the person has been through. And it's not necessarily recent. Many times I've worked on people that have had this fight or flight that they've had cumulatively for like 10 years. I worked on somebody that had lost, bless her father many, many years before. And she didn't understand why. She was just so run down all the time. Biggest thing was she was still carrying the trauma of the loss.
Yeah.
She didn't really face it. She didn't really grieve the process.
Yeah.
And she carried on with the charge of the experience, which is what progressed everything else. She was on statins for this monstrously high cholesterol.
Yeah.
Never did anything. And then when we worked on grounding her and providing her relief from the shock of losing the father and allowing her to finally grieve the loss of her father, magically within 2 months, the statin started to work. And actually she was able to be removed from it because her cholesterol went down so much that the doctor realized, well, there's no more use for that to be given to you. But up until that point, she was on it, and this cholesterol kept on going. Of course, because her system was on and on and on in fight or flight. So our body is actually a beautiful thing. It continues doing what it knows that it needs to do. It's just that sometimes it's a bit against us, and we need to know when that is. And this is why we call people like Marta.
Or Mikayla. Yeah, but you know, this example that you just used is actually very interesting because, again, from biodecoding, cholesterol can mean as well the happiness, the joy of life. Okay, so when we lose the joy of life is when actually it could get high in our blood. So blood usually means family. So in this example that you just gave, she lost her father. So maybe for her, it was the joy of her life. And because of that, her cholesterol went up as well. So this is why it's very interesting that you just share that with us.
And this is why it's great when we work on a patient together, because from one angle or the other, that patient is going to come out clean.
Definitely.
What we need to make sure that people know is when they have a high cholesterol level, to not necessarily be alarmed, because it's not necessarily a bad thing. Because once we need to see really how high is that cholesterol, and two, not just how high, but the context, all of the little necessary accessory labs that I'm not necessarily listing here because I would bore you guys, but those are important. The HDL, the insulin, the CRP, all of those things are really important. And if they're okay, then why do we need to worry? Of course, that is the ultimate call of the doctor. The nutritionist will lightly go to work on the diet to help the cholesterol regularize itself a bit. And as a shamanic practitioner, I will work on the root, and that is as powerful as the diet.
Yeah, so it's like the approach, like from the physical things, like, follow a healthy diet, lifestyle, etc. At the same time that you find a practitioner, or maybe you practice or work on this on your own, but like find a way to work on the emotions and the energetic growth of, or the traumas that are causing actually this cholesterol to be raising up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in the case scenario that somebody finds themselves with a test result that shows a little higher level than desired of cholesterol, they should look into more of the reasons why, and they could be chemical, they could be related to something that is going on in the body, even having to do with the thyroid. We have not mentioned that, but a low thyroid can actually heighten the cholesterol. But also, I highly suggest this person to keep in mind that there are other factors that will play unfavorably on cholesterol because of the whole fight or flight situation, which unleashes that whole cycle of adrenaline, glucose and fat and situation that I explained earlier. So keep in mind to not just look at one aspect, because if you're going to tackle it from a 360-degree view, you have better chances to resolve it completely and not to just patch it like a plaster, meaning lower it for a little bit and then it goes back high within a few months when you don't apply really things that go to the actual reasons.
Yeah.
Right, Marta?
Yes. And then I think that we could finish this episode giving people like some situations that maybe they are going to resonate with, that maybe are happening in their lives. And this would be a reason why the cholesterol would be rising up. For example, do you guys feel that you can't count on your family, or that maybe you can rely on them, or that in your family people don't see or don't talk to each other? Or maybe do you feel that you don't deserve to be happy? Or maybe you have lost someone that was actually the happiness or the joy in your life. So this would be like some situations where cholesterol would be raising up. And from your perspective, Nikki, like the stress or?
Another one is trauma. Are you
Yes.
guys still living some kind of trauma? For example, are you still reliving the moments near, before, or after a car accident or any kind of strong trauma? Because that will do it. The mind continues rewinding, replaying that same scene. And in doing so, it prolongs the fight or flight, the moment that the person finds themselves in that situation and has to react to be alive. But it ends in that moment because the person obviously is alive, is there to speak with you, but is still in that moment in the past because their body is still fighting as if they're still trying to get out of the car after the car accident. So this is another situation that can perpetuate stress, even though the stress is finished, but the person is not finished processing. And this is another big cause.
It is. And just one thing that I wanted to share as well, which is that what cholesterol is doing for you guys is actually not going against your own health and your own body. What cholesterol is doing for you. So please try to see cholesterol like this positive, intention that it has, which is to offer you this support that you feel that you don't have. So when you feel like your family, you can't count on your family, cholesterol is trying to give you that support or that happiness that you are missing, or to let you know that you are missing this happiness, and this is why it's not flowing, or it's not letting like the blood flow through your veins and arteries. So this is a reason why, cholesterol is there. So not, with that bad intention, but actually the opposite. Okay, so do you want to add something else, Mikayla?
No, you said it all beautifully. And thank you so much for having me, Marta, on your channel.
Thank you a lot for coming. I'm so grateful that you're here. Gracias, gracias.
Gracias, gracias a
Grazie
te.
mille.
Merci beaucoup. All right, I look forward to having you
Okay.
online.
Wait, Miki, so if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do it?
They can just contact me on my email, which is Mikayla, Mikayla, at raisin, like the little fruit, healthinternational.com. I have two websites. One is the nutrition, raisinhealth.com, raisin like the little fruit. And the other one for energy medicine, modernized with a Z, because still a bit American, modernized energymedicine.com. Sorry to the UK for my American spelling. And so in either one, the email will always lead to me and to my assistant, and they can book a free 20-minute consultation where I can discuss with them how I can work with them and how I can help them.
That's lovely. And I'll write this down anyway, just in case, so that people can read it after we finish the episode, just in case. Okay?
Wonderful.
So,
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Miki. I'm sending you a big hug.
And to you as well.
And we are sending a really big hug to all of you guys.
Bye, all of you. Be healthy.
See you next
Bye-bye.
time. How do you call placas in English?
Plaques?
Plaques? Right.
No, it's plaques.
Plaques?
Estamos eso también.
Oh, no.
Plaque
Plaques?
formation. Plaque formation.
Plaque formation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to start from somewhere different, because si no, esto no va a tener sentido.
3.
A ver, 3, 2, 1.